Harsh, you've been telling us about this fascinating journey of change in technology. So, from the old bulbs to CFL to LED and now internet connected lights. Where is this technology heading in India? Is it something that is being forced on the consumers, or are the consumer preferences driving the change? How is this?
This technology is definitely catching on, and pace of adoption is different by different segments. So when you get into institutions where ROI makes the purchase. So if LEDs save, say, 50% energy over conventional, a connected light, which is like a IoT enabled light, saves additional 30%, because now it can dim when there is nobody. It can sense how many people are there and send that data to air conditioning, so that even the air conditioning load comes down. It can optimize space. It can tell you this conference room is free, this is not free. Now all this, by the way, is not sci-fi. This is something that's happening today. Customers are using it and using it in India.
What would you say is the level of penetration of something like this in the market?
Large, let's say, technology companies, progressive companies who have invested in IT, they are the early adopters, and we see adoption happening in such companies right now.
But do you have to persuade the market, because you're saying there are early adopters, which also implies that some are going to be late adopters and maybe not very convinced. Is it that the cost of acquisition or deployment is higher, but perhaps the usage brings the overall life cycle cost down?
That is right. That's exactly the business case here. That it's a little more expensive than buying unconnected light, but when you connect it, it saves you this extra energy and offers additional benefits. So somebody who is looking at that life cycle cost versus life cycle benefit analysis buys. Somebody who's capital constrained in the beginning doesn't invest in it.
What about an individual home owner, for somebody who is an apartment owner or has a house? Does it make sense to have such technology at their homes?
Oh, absolutely. So if you see, light is no longer now a utility product bought for illumination. Light has become a lifestyle product because it makes your house look prettier. It makes it livelier. It aids in entertainment. It aids in health and productivity. Now, if you see a consumer, a discerning consumer today, he spends maybe over 100,000 rupees for just doing up his curtains or painting his house every few years. For a house, typical house, 3-bedroom house, probably doing up lights that offer all these values cost less than that. And we are now seeing consumers who are more aware of some of these offerings are adopting these. So they will not buy these because it offers light. Of course, there are cheaper alternatives available. They will buy this because it offers a different experience and offers a better quality of life.
But also, you referred to LED, and so there's LED plus connected lights, so it's a combination of both. The flexibility that LED offers is also of great utility. Right. So apart from the energy saving efforts, it can be deployed in far more innovative ways. Is that also a great factor for the consumers when they come to the market?
Oh, absolutely. So today you could dim an LED when you don't need it. So the same light could be your night lamp. Same light could become a reading lamp with a different texture of the color, and same light could be your working study light. Same light could change color to millions of colors if you want to be in a different mood setting. Same light could be connected remotely when you're not at home to turn on at a particular time and turn off at a particular time. So that is suddenly now creating different use cases than just giving light.
Here, the interesting question around the business of it and the operational part of it is that again, the cycle of change is far shorter than what it was earlier. So maybe the first set of CFLs, by the time they come along, the bulb really hadn't changed. Now you see, so innovations like tube lights and curved and all that happened. Today, companies like yours have to invest in new manufacturing and new technology far more rapidly than perhaps earlier. How are you coping with that?
It's a great point. I think the pace of innovation has quickened orders of magnitude. So just to give you an example, out of our 2 R&D centers here, last year we introduced more than 200 new products. Whereas traditional incandescent bulb lived for decades. Now that's the difference in the pace of innovation. So we've had to enhance our investment and focus on R&D. We've had to make our supply chains more agile. For example, a CFL bulb or a glass incandescent bulb, what you bought last year, if it didn't sell, you could sell next year. If you bought a LED or a digital product last year, if it doesn't sell after 1 year, it has lost all value, because you will get
The
much
obsolescence
better.
is faster.
You will get much better products, much more powerful, and maybe also more cost effective. So you've had to make the entire value chain more efficient, agile.
But doesn't that put a greater burden on you? Because just when you set up a manufacturing unit for a certain kind of technology, you may have to change it a year later. How do you manage with it?
So the change is not so, let's say, drastic on the manufacturing end. It's much more on the value chain end, how you take it to the consumer.
Why is that?
So earlier, let's say, value chain could afford to have many months of stock. Now, any stock means that much closer to obsolescence. Now, that's the innovation that is needed. How do you make the value chain very efficient? Earlier, you could afford to launch a product and get it to the last outlet in that last village, maybe 5 months later. Now, 5 months later, it's one generation older. So it's the pace of introduction, pace of execution.
So from manufacturing to delivery, that timeline has to be much shorter. But you're saying it doesn't impact your production technology?
Not so much.
How is that?
Because finally, CFL also had electronic driver. LED lamps also have electronic driver. Rest of it is chips and electronic components to be assembled. And hence manufacturing for most lighting companies hasn't been that much of a constraint.
So you don't need to have more flexible or automated systems built in perhaps to be able to change?
You do, but we always had them even earlier. So it's not that it's something new that is getting imposed by this pace of innovation. What's different is the pace of product introduction, keeping in tune with the new technologies that are coming, as opposed to just the manufacturing per se.